Okay, we want this to be available for everybody else later on. So that's why we're recording already now, because otherwise I might get super carried away and forget to record. We don't want that to happen, right? So that's so good. People are dropping in. It's so much fun to see all your names. This is why I'm looking a little bit at the side because I'm looking at people dropping in. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's Friday. So of course, Friday lunch for me. I don't know what time it is for everybody else. But for me, it's 12 o'clock lunchtime, light outside. Wonderful. So that's super. So I think like Friday lunch, what's a better thing to do than talk about your goals and your visions? Nothing really. Well, okay, maybe in combination with lots of champagne. That would be better. No, just joking. But that is so good. People are coming. Wonderful. And now we're actually on the hour. But we're going to wait another minute because, you know, even though it says 12 for me here, like on the hour, my wristwatch says 59 and yours might say 02. I don't know. So I think it's just better to wait 1 minute more and then we'll see. We'll see. Now we go. Here we go. Okay. Here we are. Okay, now we have waited another minute. So I think we'll just start. And if anybody comes in late, that's not a problem. I now see that my name is Life Coach. That's splendid. This is my first time. Okay, let's start. My name is not Life Coach. It's Anna Wallner, and I live in Sweden. And this is my first time at the Life Coach University. I promise you that it will not be the last one. And I just adore this platform. I have been a participant many times on these wonderful webinars that the Life Coach University is hosting. And this is a completely pay it forward platform. And if you don't know what that means, it just means that we do this all for free. We share everything that we teach our clients to you. And the only thing we ask in return is that you pay it forward. So what that means, paying it forward, is that you might take some small thing and share it with someone else. You might act kind to someone else, or you might tell someone else about this platform so they can go in and see if there is anything that they would like to learn more about. So that is the whole pay it forward platform. And we are so grateful, all the coaches that participate in the Life Coach University, that the Life Coach University actually exists, because we just love to share. That's what we do. And I am going to share one of my absolute favorite things, and that is about reaching your goals. Because I have always been a goal-oriented person. And seeing that, I have not always reached my goals, but that has changed as of late, because now I know how to actually reach them, which is fantastic. And I help women, entrepreneurs mostly, to reach their goals. That's what I do now. I help them create these grand visions. We're going to talk about that. And I help them to get out of their own way, because normally our biggest obstacle is ourselves. We will talk about obstacles too, but the biggest obstacle is usually in our mind. And that is what I help them with. And one of the ways I do that is to help them turn inward. And this sounds a little bit weird, but normally we look for the solution outside of us. And the solution is not there, my friends. The solution is inside. So I teach people how to become their own best mentor. And next time, in 2 weeks, I'm actually going to talk about how to become your own best mentor. So go up on the Life Coach University website and get your ticket right now, so you don't miss it, because then you will get these notifications. So you will get reminded, so you don't forget if you forgot to put it in your calendar, which you shouldn't. So, but that is for next time. This time, we are going to talk about goals. And we have a whole hour to talk about this. I cannot promise you I will talk for an hour, because what I talk about is this, and we're going to do it really thoroughly. But when we're done, we're done. So maybe I will let you go a little bit early. Who knows? Okay. So yeah, and before we start, if there is any questions, if you're live, if you're not live, obviously you can't ask me questions. Then you have to email me. I will give you the details in the end. But if you're live, you can type questions in the Q&A, and it's somewhere here. It says Q&A, and there you can type your questions, and then it will pop up for me, and I can answer them as I go along, or I can save them at the end. Let's just see. So do that. Feel free to do that as we go along, and I'll just answer them at the end. That's probably the easiest thing, because otherwise I will get completely sidetracked. And now I want to, I got a little bit like, oh, are you recording? Yes, I'm recording. So that's good. Okay, my friends, let's do some goals. And I want to start even before the goal. I want to start with the vision. Because what a goal actually is just a part of your vision. It's just like a stop on the way to your vision. So if you look at your life, if you look at what you want to create, you see this, or I hope you do. If you don't, you have to come and work with me and I'll teach you how. But I can see let's do like that. You need to start with your vision. So if you look 10 years ahead or 5 years ahead, what do you see? What do you see yourself doing? Do you look a certain way? Do you feel a certain way? Do you have something special? How does your day look like? Are you employed? Are you on your own? On your own, as in having your own company? I mean, all of the things. And when we talk about vision, it's very easy to think that it should be very different from what you have now. And it doesn't need to be. It can be for sure. But maybe you're super happy with your life, but you want to change how you feel on the inside. Maybe you're super anxious right now and you want to be feeling certain in yourself and in your own capabilities and that you're enough or whatever. It can be that. But in the rest of the parts of your life, maybe you're completely happy and you want to have it just like it is, but you want to change on the inside. Well, that's fantastic. That's a grand vision. But my only goal when it comes to vision, is not to make it smaller because of that voice in my mind telling me that it's not possible. Because we all have that voice, don't we? We go like, oh, I want to live in the Alps. And that little voice goes like, that's not reasonable. You live in Sweden. How would you do that? Do you even want to do that? What happens if you've moved? You wouldn't be able to see your parents that much. That's horrible. It's cold in the Alps. No, I don't think you probably want to do that. And even if you did, it would probably be a lot of paperwork. And you would need to get a car that would take you there. And it probably needed to be registered in that country. I mean, I don't even want to live in the Alps, but this is what my brain serves up for me when I try to picture myself living in the Alps. And this is what our brains do because they don't like change. And when we have a vision, it normally involves quite a lot of change, doesn't it? At least a little bit of change. Because otherwise, your vision would just be what you have right now, right? So when that little voice comes, when it sort of sits on your shoulder and whispers in your ear and goes like, no, 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 that's impossible. You can't do that. I just want you to like stroke it gently and say, thank you. I know you don't like change and it's fine. We're just dreaming here. This is what we're doing. And I think that dream that you have that is whispering in your other ear, that's a call from your soul or from your like deepest desire and insight. I mean, I'm not a religious person personally, but I think there is a bigger meaning to things. And a part of us, if you want to call it soul or whatever, it tries to reach through to you, to tell you to go for that vision, to create that vision. And we don't want this little person to get the upper hand and tell us that we can't. Do you know what I mean? So when you write your vision, just think about it as free, give yourself free reins. Just write it. If there was no obstacles whatsoever in the world, if there wasn't a time issue, if there wasn't a money issue, if there wasn't what will people think issue, what would your vision look like? If it was only for you and you could do anything you wanted, what would it look like? Write that down. I don't have a workbook for you. Normally I have that, but right now, not now. So you will have to do it yourself. Take a piece of paper and write your vision. What does it look like if you look 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead? And some of my clients think it's very difficult to do this. So I give them this assignment that, okay, say a Tuesday, 10 years from now, you wake up, write about what you do. You go up, maybe you, I don't know, go for a run. You have some breakfast. What type of breakfast do you have? What do you do? What does your morning routine look like? Where do you go after that? What do you wear? Do you shower in the morning? Maybe you shower in the evening. I mean, just follow yourself. Just a normal day and see what you're up to. That exercise is so much fun. I love to do that. I do it personally on a regular basis. So that is my recommendation. If you think it's a little bit difficult to reach that vision just as it is, if you think it's a little bit vague and fluffy, take a Tuesday. What are you doing? So I'm not want to drift off. So what you can also do is you write a list of what you want. And these things can be big, there can be small, there can be physical things like I want to buy a diamond ring, or I want to buy a new car, I want to move to another country, or I want to have peace of mind, or I don't want to feel stressed or guilty or whatever. All the things that you want, abstract or not abstract, big or small, just write them down on a list. This makes it very practical. And when you have them, pick one. And if you have a hard time picking, normally the first thing you wrote on the list is probably what you want most, because that was like at the front of your brain. It doesn't have to be, but it's normally a clue. So look at the list, pick one thing, and that will be your goal. That will be your goal. And when you've picked that one, ask yourself, why do you want to create that? Why do you want to have a new car? Why do you want to move countries? Why do you want to lose 10 kilos? Why is it important? And this is a super important thing to do, to actually ask yourself why, because sometimes our brains, they've just like, yeah, I want to lose 10 kilos because I think I weigh too much compared to the skinny women on Instagram. Is that actually a viable reason for you to do that? Do you really want to lose 10 kilos? Why? Why aren't you good the way you are? These are like questions you can ask yourself. So it's really important to know why you want to do something. Because if you don't know why, you probably don't need to do it. That's actually the way it is. You probably don't have to do it if you don't know why, to be honest. So why do you want to do it? Why is it important? And what would need to happen with you? How would you need to change to reach that goal? These are just pre-work questions, my friend. We have not even started. This is just to know that you have picked a goal that is worth working on. So why do you want to do it? Why is it important? How would you need to change? And are you ready to change that you wrote? How do you need to change? Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to change? Are you ready to go to create that goal that you've written? If so, let's go. Then we do it. Because the question is, if you come short on any of these questions, you should probably have another look on your list. But if you have a super meaningful why, and you know why it's important, you know how you need to change, and you're ready to do it, and you go like, yes, this is what I'm going to do, then what are you waiting for? Then we're just going to do it. So let's do it, right? Okay. So what you need to do to reach your goals. And this, my friend, is actually just like the blueprint. This is what we need to do to get you from A to B. But the tricky part is actually not, it's actually not these. It's not the to-dos, the obstacles, and the solutions. The difficult part is these two. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But let's start with the blueprint. So when you look at your goal, what do you need to do? What's your to-do list? Let's say, for example, that I do want to lose 10 kilos and I do have a good why. I do know why it's important. I do know how I need to change. And that is some of the to-dos probably. And I am ready to do it. I'm so determined that this is what I want to do. So I'm ready. Then the question becomes, okay, so what do I need to do to lose those 10 kilos? Okay, I probably have to move about more. I probably have to change what I eat, at least somewhat. Maybe I need to stop eating when I'm stressed out. Maybe I need to stop eating when I'm tired. Maybe I need to stop eating emotionally, full stop. That's probably a good thing. And maybe I need to have a plan what I should eat every day. Maybe I need to figure out what feels good in my body. When I'm going to eat things, what do I actually want to eat that feels good for me? Maybe I need to find out if I have any hormonal imbalances that keeps me from losing the weight. Maybe I need to do like a health checkup to see if there is anything else I should take into consideration. Maybe I'm lactose intolerant. I don't know. Maybe that could be something that I need to check. So I would suggest that you take your goal and you brainstorm. You brainstorm all the things that you could do to reach your goal. And my suggestion is that you do this, and then after a while, your brain will go like, no, nothing else. I have no idea. Then leave it a bit. Go about your day, do what you do. And after a while, or maybe the next day, get back to your brainstorm and read it and think about it a little bit more. Try to see it from another angle. Try to go outside yourself or like think outside the box. How can you find more things that could be worth trying? Because it's so easy for the brain to go along a road it's been along several times. So challenge yourself. Try to find new ways. Try to find exciting ways, because it's much more fun to do things if you think they're exciting. Trust me. And you can also ask yourself follow-up questions like, what can I do more? How could I make it easy? How could I make it fun? All of these things. And maybe your brain will come up with some more things. But then I'm pretty sure when you've started this to-do list, and sometimes the to-do list is quite long, or it contains things that your lizard brain or your cavewoman brain or caveman brain just goes like, no, no, no. We can't do that. And very often it then sort of looks back at what you've done previously, and it goes like, you've never lost 10K before. How are you going to control what you eat? You've never done that. Are you insane? And now it's time to let that part of you have its say. So now we're going down to the obstacles part. What obstacles do you see? Is it that you don't believe you can, maybe? Is it that you have a very challenging schedule, so you can't really, now we're using the example of losing the weight. Maybe you have very limited time. So you can't go for a run or a walk or things like that. So all of those things that your lizard brain comes up with, like this won't work because fill in the blank. All of those fill in the blank, fill those in. Let your brain go crazy pants, because that's at least what my brain does. My brain is extremely creative when it comes to how things won't work out. And I'm extremely happy that I have this process now. So I can like, okay, this is normal. This is what happens. So let's use it. So when we have that whole list with things that we think is impossible, we will find solutions. Because what happens with most people when they don't have this is that they go like, I'm going to lose 10K. I'm going to run every day. I'm going to wake up at 5:30 and I'm going to run for 5K. And then in the morning, you wake up and you go like, your lizard brain goes, this is the worst idea ever. We're super tired. And we've heard that it's not really good to run if you're tired because it will stress your muscles even more and blah, 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 blah. Even though that might not be the case, this exact thing, your brain will come up with so much bullshit for why you can't do it. And in the moment, they will feel so true to you. So if you think about all of those things, if you think about like, okay, I need to go running early in the morning, or I need to go for my walk early in the morning, because then the rest of the day is packed. So I don't have any more time. Okay, so how will we actually get that done? How will we actually get out of the door? We know in the morning that we are super tired. So what will we do? And this is, of course, different for everybody. I'm just using this as an example. But in this case, maybe I come up with, okay, I will set my alarm and I will have a glass of water standing next to the bed. So I will take that glass, dip my fingers in it, and rub some water in my eyes. And I will also, the day before, have put my running clothes just next to my bed. Excuse me. Or you can do like I do and wear your running clothes, not the shoes, but I wear the running clothes. I sleep in them when I'm going to go running early in the morning. Much easier, makes the threshold very much lower. So you need to find these things that you can do, the solutions to your problems. And you just need to be curious about how you can solve these things. And maybe it is, if we do the how should I lose weight, maybe you don't know how. I doubt it, but in this day and age, but maybe you don't know how. So maybe you need to figure out how to do it. And it can for sure be something else. Maybe I'm going to do a website, and that's my goal, that I'm going to have my own website. And one of my obstacles is that I have no freaking idea how to do that. Okay, how can we find out? So every obstacle that you have come up with, you need to come up with a solution, because now we're in the planning stages. So we want to have a clear road of where we're going. So when we come up against that obstacle, we're like, yep, I have something for that. I'll just take it out here. Let's see. I'll just put on my running clothes before I go to bed. I know it sounds insane, but it works really well. So when we have picked our goal and we know exactly what we need to do to reach it, we have defined all our obstacles, or maybe you will come up with new obstacles as you go, but that's fine. Every new obstacle you come up with, you just find a new solution to it and add it to your list. And when you have all of these things, it's time to decide when you're going to do them. Yep. Because the goal and the to-dos and the obstacles and the solutions, they won't take you to your goal if you don't do them. Sorry to tell you, but that's the way it is. So what you need to do is make a massive action plan. All of these things, your to-dos, that is your massive action plan. And massive action is you doing them. That's what it all boils down to be honest. So if you want to save, or if you want to get out of debt, for example, your massive action is to save money, to pay that off. So how can I do that? How can I save money today to put into my debt? Maybe I will walk instead of take the car and drop the kids off. I will have saved some money because I won't need to fill my car up. So massive action is every little step that you take towards your goal. But when we do this, again, our brain, our illicit brain, will tell us to do something different. This is sneaky. Our illicit brain is so sneaky because it will tell you that, you probably can't go for that run. If we go back to the lose weight run example, because you really don't know how to do that properly, right? Should you run intervals? Should you run slow? Should you run fast? You probably need to read a little bit about that. Or maybe you should Google something and watch some YouTube videos. But that's not massive action. That's something we call passive action. And passive action, my friend, feels super necessary. In the moment, it feels super necessary. But this is a trick your brain plays on you to try to get you back in the cave. It's like, okay, so if you take massive action, that means change. We don't like change. No, no, no. Let me convince you why you need to stay on your butt and do research before you go running. But when you entertain the passive action, I'm a huge fan of passive action. In my case, it looks like reading trillions of books. But I know what I'm doing. So I've just put the books into my free time. I'm no longer trying to convince myself that reading books is massive action, because it isn't. It's nothing in those books that will, while I'm reading it, will get me closer to my goal. No way. So when you're doing massive action, there is normally a little bit of uncomfortableness going on because you're doing something, you're pushing your boundaries, and there is a chance that you might fail. And we don't like fail. We don't do fail. We will talk about the fail in a minute. But massive action, when you think about it, massive action is something that actually takes you closer to your goal. Passive action is comfortable. Passive action is quite cozy. And passive action can be lots of fun. But it's not uncomfortable. You're not risking anything when you're engaging in passive action. And that's why passive action will get you nowhere. It will get you nowhere. Not when it comes to your vision and your goal anyway. I am still trying to trick myself that all of these books, I'm saying these books because they're all standing up here in my bookshelf. I'm trying to trick myself that all of these books, they will help me on my way to help more people. Yeah, but not when I'm actually trying to help them, because I need to get a hold of them to be able to help them. And reading books will not help me to get hold of the people I want to help. Do you understand what I mean? So what can I do when it comes to massive action to actually help more people? Well, I can tell more people that I can help them. Hey guys, I can help you. Email me. I will help you. I know how. That helps me to reach my goal of helping you. Not reading books on how to help other people. That one will not help me to reach more people. So before we leave massive action, I just want to say that massive action is not comfortable. Massive action is a little bit and massive action can also feel like that, not because you might fail in front of other people, but that you will fail in front of yourself. And what I mean by that is that, say that you want to lose this 10 kilos and you've decided to go for a walk or a run, and you do it, but you don't do it the way you think you should. It's like, I should run 5K every morning. And maybe you just run 2, or maybe you walk 5. And then you might tell yourself that wasn't very good. You said you were going to run 5 and you didn't. You're a loser. And that's not very comfortable. So by going out running, you might fail because you set up the goal to run 5, and maybe you won't be able to do that. And here is also a mind trick that I teach that makes it more easy to do all these things. It's because the reason why you're scared of doing a lot of these things is because you will be a mean girl to yourself or a mean boy to yourself if you don't succeed. And then your brain will tell you not to do that. Don't take massive action because you will tell yourself that you're a complete waste of space if you don't do it exactly and perfectly the way you planned it. And life is messy. It doesn't normally look like exactly the way you planned it. It's messy. And if you beat yourself up every time you haven't reached exactly your plan, it won't be fun to try to take massive action, for sure. And a mind trick, just like that, is this failing forward. Because this is what I talk about. We don't want to fail because it feels bloody uncomfortable. It's not fun to fail because this is a very small part. Other people might tell us that we failed. That's very uncomfortable, but only if we agree with them. Because what other people think and what other people say can't make you feel anything. And now you're like, that's not true. Let me prove it to you. We have a person that says something to you, but you don't hear it. Then it will not produce a feeling within you. Right? I think you can agree on this. And let's say now that this person tells you something to your face, so you do hear it, But it's still not the case that what they say will produce a feeling inside of you, because you need to have a thought about it first. So if I told you, you're absolutely fantastic, you are so good, it's crazy pants. You could feel like, oh, that's so good. If you thought, that's so kind of her to say that. Maybe that would give you a lovely feeling. Or you could think, no, I don't believe her. She's just trying to be nice. And that would make you feel suspicious, maybe unsure. And it's the same thing. I've said the same thing to you. But depending on what you think, you will feel different things. And that's why what other people think about your failure does not matter. What matters is what you think. So this failing forward, there's some issues when it comes to failing and being scared of failing. Because when we're scared of failing, a lot of us just give up before we even started. Because we think about our grand vision and our goal, and we listen to this part of the brain goes like, no, you might fail. And if you fail, you will feel stupid. You will feel failure. Maybe you will even feel ashamed or not worthy or whatever. Not very comfortable feelings. And since our lizard brain really doesn't want to feel any of that. So when you just think that there is a possibility that you might fail, it will go like, no, 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 no. We don't do failure. No, because if we do failure, we will feel awful. We don't want to feel awful. So I have a good idea for you. Let's just not do it, right? Isn't that a good thing? I mean, it's like, I have a daughter, she's 7, and she's now started gymnastics. And what if she doesn't have these thoughts, apparently. But what if she thought, I will never be able to be good at gymnastics. I better not join that troupe. Well, if she had that thought and didn't join the group or the troupe, she would never be good at gymnastics, right? She would have failed ahead of time. And she really wants to do gymnastics. So that thought doesn't serve her because she would just fail ahead of time. We don't want to do that. And we do the same when we look at our vision and our lizard brain goes like, no, seriously? You won't be able to do that. Then we're like, no, yeah, you're right. I probably should do something else. I probably should go back to my 9 to 5. Yeah. And sometimes our brains are tricky. They go like, no, no. Yeah, we admit there is a slim chance, because if you look at the statistics, I mean, 95 or 98% of all goals set end in failure. So yeah, you have like a 2, max 5% chance of reaching your goal. But do we want to risk it? I don't think so. Our brains are so sneaky, crazy, crazy sneaky. So I want to offer you something else. I want to offer you failing forward. And that means not putting any meaning into the failures apart from the meaning and the fact that you are on your way. You are ready to make changes, to try new things, to move forward, even if you fail. You will try a million things to get you to your goal. So what it looks like in real life is that you try something and you might fail. And then you try something else. And then you might fail. And then you try something else. And maybe that works out. Woohoo, good for you. But every step gives us information. So maybe we go back to losing the weight. Maybe you're like, I'm going to eat broccoli for a week. That ended up with me binging on croissants and candy all weekend because my body was just like, fuck this shit. So that didn't work. Broccoli, a diet of only broccoli, that did not work. Okay, let's try something else. It doesn't mean that I eat broccoli an entire week, binge on croissants and candy, and then let that determine whether I can lose the weight or not. Okay, now we know that was not a good thing to do. Let's try something else. So we don't make it mean the failure. We don't make it mean that we're not going to get there. We just look at it, look at the information and go like, okay, interesting. This didn't work. Maybe parts of it worked and other parts didn't work. That's fine. Take the parts that work and do that again. So with the massive action, there's always a part of evaluation going on. So when you try something and it works or it doesn't work, look at it. Was there anything with it that actually did work? What did not work? And what can you do differently? That's the information you need. And then you just take the other thing on your to-do list and you try that. And then if that works, good, do it again if you need to. And the things that don't work, good, super helpful. Then we know that doesn't work. So one of my favorite thoughts that I want to give to you is that when you look at your goal and your vision, you can choose to think that as long as I don't give up, I haven't failed. That makes it tons easier for me, at least, to take the next action on my to-do list, for sure. Because if you want to reach your vision, this is how you do it. But the tricky part is the conversation between your lizard brain and your evolved brain, because your lizard brain is so convincing sometimes and it will tell you lies, and you need to learn how to let it be there. It can be there. It's fine. But you don't have to listen to it. You can just stroke it gently and go like, I hear you. I know you don't like change. I know you're trying to protect me, but it's fine. I can do this. You can just go back to sleep. And you can choose to turn to your other brain, your evolved brain, your prefrontal cortex, and you can just go like, here we go. What can we do next? How can we fix this? How can we be innovative and see other angles? That's the only thing. And of course, if you need help, there's lots of coaches here within the Life Coach University that can help you, for sure. But before we wrap up, I'm going to have a look at the Q&A, that's why I'm looking over here. I can, of course, move the Q&A, so I look a little bit more centered. Okay, anonymous entity says, I have a hard time saying that. What I see for myself in the future, living out in the countryside, golden retriever, good, golden retriever, my favorite, I have two. Successful business, circle of friends around me. Absolutely, I love that. What I would do with that vision is make it even clearer. When you say living out in the countryside, where? What does it look like? What does your house look like? What does your garden look like? Do you have close neighbors? What do you do in the mornings? Do you walk your golden retrievers the first thing you do? You said golden retriever, one. Yeah, I'm like, of course you want to have more. And also when you say successful business, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can replace the income you have now? Does that mean working half time and having the business on the side just for fun? I mean, you get my drift. So ask yourself even more questions when it comes to all of these things that you wrote. What are the details? Because the reason why you want to have the details is because if you do it vividly and you put all of these details in, it will be so much easier to see all of the things you need to do. Because the golden retriever, that of course has its own steps of this. And also, like, why do you want to have a golden retriever? That's a stupid question. Everybody wants a golden retriever, of course. No, so that's my suggestion to you. Make it crystal clear. Because when you go and do your vision crystal clear, the road to that vision becomes so much clearer. And if you freak out and go like, well, I don't know, what if I do it crystal clear and I change my mind? Well, that's fine. Just change your mind. It's not like you're creating this painting and then you can't do anything about it. You can choose. So if you change your mind, that's fine. Yeah, talking about that, I actually have an old client of mine. She wanted to start a animal sanctuary in another state. She was from the United States. And she was like, she pictured herself sitting on the porch and she had all these cats and dogs and all types of animals around her. And she was like, yeah, and I sit there and it's just so fantastic. And then she sort of caught herself and was like, but Anna, what if I sit there and I realize that this is not what I want? I will have wasted all this time. And I'm like, well, that you can choose to think that. Why would you choose to think that you wasted your time? And for her, it was just the truth. And I was like, okay, but if you create all of these things and you decide that that's not what you want, you can look back and see at all the things you learned and feel absolutely safe and certain that you can reach your goals. You changed your entire life to this. And then if you decide to go for something else, you know that you can do it because you already did it, right? So good. Okay, next, another anonymous says, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm sure that was towards like, are you ready to do your goal? So that's good. Okay, here's another one, anonymous. Goal, to have the documentary broadcasted. I guess you're creating a documentary. Good for you. That sounds exciting. To do, find a documentary maker, film edit, film festival. Love that. So good. But anonymous, you need to get to work to on your to-do list, right? Because if the goal is to get the documentary broadcasted, it sounds like you have a lot of things on your to-do list, right? And probably some obstacles too that you need to take height for, we say in Swedish. Maybe you don't do that. Okay, I love that. You need to send me an email and tell me what the documentary is about. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Okay, another anonymous, laughing out loud. Love that you sleep in your running clothes. Wake up and ready to go. Yeah, my husband thinks I'm a lunatic as well, but I don't care. It works for me. So another one, anonymous. That is so super. As long as I don't give up, I haven't failed. Gold. Thank you so much for sharing so much gold here. Oh, that's lovely. I love that. Yeah. As long as I don't give up, I haven't failed. That's like one of my favorites. I just love it so much. And then the last question, if you don't have any more, what if I can't find a solution to my problem obstacle? Well, then I would say you haven't looked well enough. Of course, if you have no idea, I would say Google it. If you have no idea, ask someone else, brainstorm, help. I mean, use help. But normally when we have our obstacles, it's just our brain trying to tell us that we don't know. Okay, so if you had to guess, what would be your best guess? Guess. That's always a good thing. I was like, this will not take an hour. Now we're on 55 minutes. So if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to let you have more questions if you want to. But if you don't, we're going to wrap up. And I just want to thank you so much. It's incredible that you're so many. It's so much fun to talk to you about goals. And don't forget, ask yourself, how can I pay this forward? Because that's what the Life Coach University is all about, to share all of these tools and all of these thoughts and all of these structures to everybody else. And it doesn't have to look in a certain way. Just ask yourself, how can I pay it forward? How can I pay it forward with kindness? Do you know someone who would benefit so much of things from the Life Coach University? Then we would be so happy if you did that. And I'm also reminded that I need to share my contact details with you. And I have actually prepared that. And since you know, not all of you, whoops, whiteboard, lamp, you will just have to live with the fact that I have a ring light, because otherwise it's too dark. I have a website in Swedish. If you don't read Swedish, it will be very difficult for you. But if you want to get in contact with me, if you're interested of working with me, you will reach me through my website, and you scroll all the way down. And then in the footer, it says contact. This is the Swedish version of contact. It's the same, it's just a K. And if you click there, you will find my email address, and you can email me. You can also email me questions if you want. If you read Swedish, it's a no-brainer. You just go to my website, and there's all the information and how I work with people. I have a program called Business Mindset that helps women to actually reach their goals. But even though that's in Swedish, that's not a problem. I work with international clients too. It's just that I can't have, well, I can't, of course I can, but I don't yet have my website in English too. So the easiest way is just to go to my website. It says annawallner.se, and then scroll all the way down, and then you go to contact, and there is my email. So you can email me. So that is it. That's what I have for you, my darling, darling friends. And I hope that you now go into lifecoachuniversity.com. There is no it's just lifecoachuniversity.com, and look at all the fabulous topics that my colleagues are talking about, because it's gold. It's so much, and it's all for free. Just imagine. And of course, I hope to see you in 2 weeks, not next Friday, but the Friday after that. And then we will talk about how to become your own best mentor. So I hope to see you then. Don't forget to pay it forward, okay? And happy weekend. Love you all. Bye.